So, our menu for class today. Um, I I was just sharing that this reoccurring theme of of anger kind of keeps coming up. And what do you do with that? And I think one of the most effective ways to work with anger is not necessarily to all be up here, right? It anger wants motion to move it through so that you have some space between whatever it was, the situation or circumstance that made you angry, or that those feelings or cute, totally human, valid emotions come up, and you have a place to direct them, put them, that's a little more healthy, and that's just somewhere, somehow moving it through the body. And then you have an opportunity to respond versus reacting. I wanted to read to you a quote. This is out of David Whyte's Consolations. He has a second book out. He's a poet. And this is about care. So when we're thinking about, whether you're currently caregiving, you most likely will be some point in your future, or you have in the past, or where you're a steward of something. So care is almost always connected to our close companionship with anger, the way our uninvestigated and unspoken love burst out of a human frame that has not learned how to carry the depth of affection we feel. Anger is the unspoken and helplessly destructive inability to feel the full depth of how much we care. Caring, therefore, rather than the anger that it might produce, is the essential emblem of our character. Whew. So to pierce through the layers of our uninvestigated anger is always to arrive at the source of why we care and who we care for and who we want to protect, and the sometimes awful lengths we will go to in providing that protection. So when you think about anger, it's right underneath it really is usually fear, but our response has to do with protecting ourselves or protecting the person, right, in which the circumstance occurred. So when we practice a movement practice, we're working with intuiting, right, what it is we sense and feel, rather than necessarily going to all up here. Because this gives us so much information in the body of of what we can anticipate. You get that gnawing feeling in your stomach, or you get the heat or the sweaty palms, or the right, that your body is always giving you this information, and you get to then decide what you want to do with that information. So we're going to do a little bit of breathing, and then we'll stand up. I'm going to show you one of the actually probably two of the practices that I do quite a bit for diffusing, right, those sensations of anger. Yeah, and we'll move. So however you are is perfect, or you can lie down. We're just going to take a few bits of breath together. Either the eyes closed or a nice low gaze, whatever works for you. And if you can notice or begin to notice what your body is connected to. So I'm feeling my feet against the earth. I'm feeling my buttocks against the support. I'm feeling air around me, some warmth. So just noticing what you're connected to. And you can take your curiosity, your observation to those connection points. You might notice where the surface is hard or it's soft, or how your skin feels against that connection. Cold, warm. And anything that you brought with you, experiences from the day, sort of the emotional body, allow yourself to just notice it. Notice what you came in with. And as you notice what is there, see if you can investigate something further. So I'm investigating that I was carrying something heavy on my shoulders. So I'm just going to shrug my shoulders a little bit as I'm noticing it feels heavy. And that part of just moving as a result of investigating is being curious. So I'm being curious. And then as we move today, consider, right, exploring. So not necessarily pushing away, but kind of just being with what has arrived. And with this little exploration we did, imagine there is also, as you're holding this part of yourself, that whatever the emotion is, that you're not that emotion, but you're holding it. And then there's a sense of kind of returning to yourself, like your natural state, which might be, either neutral, peaceful, content, breathing. And your next breath, go ahead and exhale fully here. We'll take a gentle inhalation through the edge of the nose and breathe in, expanding the ribs, the belly, the chest. And then soft exhale. So just letting it all deflate without forcing. And then doing that again, breathe in, full, deep, belly expands, ribs, feeling the whole body move with breath. And then as you exhale, there's this sense of almost settling. It's kind of like when you toss a rock in the pond, that's your inhale. Everything moves out into the space, into the water. And the exhale is sort of that sinking down. The ripples fade away and you're settling in. And one more. Breathe in, expand. And breathe out, coming back together. When you're ready, gently open the eyes and kind of wiggle or move just a little bit away from the screen so you can see me. Find a comfortable way to sit. We're going to start seated so you can sit however it makes sense for you. You don't have to sit cross-legged. You can find another configuration that works for your body. And then on your breath, begin to expand or walk the fingertips out to the side and then drop one ear to your shoulder. And just noticing, you're just going to take your time to notice what your capacity is to bring that ear to the shoulder. So if my head is moving toward this arm, I'm going to take the opposite hand and place it on my cheek, like just a really comforting hand. I'm going to slowly, holding my hand steady, I'm going to push the head up into the hand. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of dynamic pressure. So this hand is steady, but I'm pressing the head into the hand. And then release and draw the ear toward the shoulder. So I'm going to do that again. The idea is that we're hopefully increasing a little bit of range of motion. Soften your jaw, press the head up, up, up into the hand. So there's some resistance there. I'm not just kind of, doing it. I'm pressing it and then drop the ear to the shoulder. Relax that arm. So I'm a little bit further and I'm just noticing that. And then draw the chin down toward the chest. As your eyes look up, roll your shoulders up towards your ears and around and back. And do that again. Roll the shoulders up towards your ears and around and back. And one more time. So just really feeling the bones, the scapula move away and then back together. Walk the fingers out one more time, opposite ear to the shoulder. So I'm just kind of noticing some restriction there, breathing, softening my jaw. Then you'll take the opposite hand and press the head into the hand and then gently let it move back. Good. So I didn't gain too much on that side. Feels a little different than my other side. One more time, the head in the hand, and you're going to press up, 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 and then release. Yeah, so I got a little bit more room or range of motion. And then one more time, you're going to drop your chin toward your chest. Cross one arm over the other, like you're going to give yourself a hug or pat yourself on the back. Draw the elbows down and the chin down toward the chest. So my back still stays tall, but I'm getting some deep flexion in the cervical spine. And unwind like your arms like as if they were wings. I'm going to open them all the way up and around. Good. And whatever your capacity is today, I make a lot of assumptions in what your body is capable of doing. Make modifications how it makes sense. I'm going to cross the opposite arm over the top, give myself another hug, draw the elbows down, the chin toward the chest. My spine is still tall, and I can feel my pelvis pushing down to go up. Take another breath, and then unwind that. The arms circle up, out, and over. This time we're going to rotate the torso one direction, either direction. Place one hand on the knee. I'm not going to pull myself there. It just rests. And then roll the back shoulder blade back, and then see if you can. I'm not really concerned about the head. The head can stay neutral, but the rib cage is what you want to move here. So I'm going to take a breath in, and then exhale and try to move my ribs to the back armpit. Do that again. Breathe in. Try to move the ribs to the back armpit. Good. Can you feel your belly move in and up? One more time. Breathe in and try to move the ribs to the back armpit. Go ahead and lift the hands off the floor. Bring your hands up and behind you at the nape of the neck. And again, if that's not at your capacity today, do what you can do. The elbows can be lower or the elbows can be down. But if you have the capacity for it, the hands rest at the nape of the neck, and you'll take your head and push back. And imagine your elbows plugging into the walls beside you so you get a stretch from your hip to your armpit to your elbow, and press the head back, lifting the chin just slightly. Good. And you're going to fold the elbows inward, round the back. This time, think about your xiphoid process, which is where your two ribs connect in the front. That part is going to push back and round. Going to pull everything in. And then again, inhale, lift up, elbows move all the way out to the side. Press the head back, back, back. Good. And then wiggle your way out of that. Good. Unlace that and shake that out. Perfect. On your next breath, we're going to rotate. So float the arms back out to the side, rotate the torso, let the hands float down to the floor. The back shoulder is what rolls around. And keeping the head fairly neutral, we're focused on the rib cage expanding. Breathe in. On your exhale, you're going to move the belly around toward the back armpit. Do that again. Expand. It's as if you're trying to fill the whole space of the torso. Expand, and then exhale, twist a little bit more. One more time. Breathe in. You just focus on those ribs turning as much as you can. Then on your next breath, float the arms up and then float here. We'll let one hand go down. It doesn't matter which direction you go, but flip the palm up as if you were going to throw something over your shoulder. I'm using my bottom hand to push away. Notice if I don't, I just kind of collapse, but I use that hand to push, and I get a little more spaciousness on the open side of the ribs. So whether it's finger pads or whether it's the whole hand. And then imagine that you're grabbing something there at an angle and you want to lift and get that reach while at the same time you're getting a little push. Anchor both sits bones down. And then round the back a little bit, looking down towards your armpit, and then come back up, reaching the hand. One more time, you're going to round, look down at the bottom armpit, and then inhale, come all the way back up. Really go for that big reach. And then rainbow the arms all the way up. Here, let your hands and elbows be like a scarecrow, and then push the hands toward the wall behind you any amount that your shoulders allow. You can go lower if that makes sense. Then turn the palms of the hands toward one another as if you were trying to hold a beach ball behind you. And then see if you can stretch the fingers a little bit more and a little bit more. What's going to happen is the center of your chest is feeling like it's spreading apart. So rather than thinking I'm squeezing my shoulder blades, think chest is moving apart from the armpits. Good. Now take just a little lift, not necessarily of the chin, but the center of your chest. Lift that up, and you've got to push with your feet to make that happen. So my feet press, my hands are pressing together without touching, and the center of my chest lifts up. And then relax down. Good. Kind of shake that out a little bit. You'll take the opposite hand and just let it either finger pads fold or the whole hand. But we'll inhale and lift the other arm. And again, the palm is facing the direction you want to go. That turns the head of the armpit towards your face. And as I keep leaning, I'm not going to collapse into it, but I want to use this bottom hand to push the ribs to the side. Then I want to imagine that I'm going to grab something on the side. Then use the sits bone. So I'm going to press down with my pelvis and my hand and reach so that my ribs expand all the way out to the side. Your breath is steady. You're just noticing what is starting to feel different. What am I able to kind of unravel or release? Take one more breath here, and then your exhale round a little bit. So I'm turning this armpit and looking in and under. And then inhale, come back up. If this arm doesn't fully extend, you can put the hand on the shoulder. You can let the elbow be down. You can still be moving the ribs to the side. So wherever you are in this trajectory, it's perfect. You're just doing what is possible today. One more time, you're going to round and then open back up through the side. So there's this sense of press to reach, and then unfold the arm all the way back up and over. We're going to take that gentle back bend seated. You could change the cross of your leg if you like, or if it's fine, you can leave it right here. Again, like you've got like those scarecrow arms, and then you start to push the hands back behind you, any amount, doesn't matter. Turn the palms toward one another, roll the shoulder blades back, and lift up through the center of the chest. Take a big full breath here, pushing down with the pelvis to lift up through the heart, palms reaching toward one another. There's a soft jaw here. One more inhale, and then let all of that go. Unwind a little bit. Okay. We're going to come up to standing, but my challenge for you, just like last week, how can I come up perhaps without the use of my hands? So if you want to watch first, you can do that, or you can try it with me. However you are seated, I was using a bolster, but if you don't have a bolster, the same is true. Swivel the legs to one side. So now they're staggered. Then I'm going to start to shift my chest forward. And then as I push through my legs with my chest forward, I can come up to kneeling. So just noticing that. Now that I'm kneeling, I'm going to take 1 foot forward. Watch how I use my chest. I'm going to put the back ball of the foot. And as I lean forward, it helps me lift from my pelvis to stand up without my hands. Okay. So as much practice with that as you can get. So useful. All right. So just noticing here. Hi. Good to see you. As you're standing, we were talking earlier about how do we work with anger in the body? We want to, right, diffuse some of that energy so that we can respond rather than react or have a reactionary, and anger needs a place to go, needs a place to be directed. So we're actually going to start with a little bit of knee bounces. You never need to leave, and I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. You never need to leave the ground, but you can work up to that if you want to. So I'm going to start just bouncing my knees forward. If you're worried about your knees being over your toes, well, that's how you sit and get up all the time from a chair. So it's a skill that's important. And I'm going to let my arms be kind of floppy with this, so they can kind of just be a little bouncy as I bounce my knees. Then you might add a little bit of lift with your heels as you're just letting your arms be as noodly as possible. So there's just lots of noodles. And nobody cares what you look like. Hopefully you're in a place where you can just bounce, and if not, you can have a nice laugh. So as you are bouncing, let the head even go with it. the arms, maybe get a little bit quicker. If you wanted to leave the earth, you could. My knees don't want to do that today, so I'm going to stay pretty close. You could bend your knees more, right? But we want to keep moving. Let your fingers fling, and it's just this bounce. Keep going, really going. Notice maybe your heart rate's starting to pick up. Maybe notice your breathing is changing. And then when you feel ready, start to slow this down. Slow down, slow down, slow, slow, and find stillness. You can have the eyes open or closed. One thing that I observe after this is like and I'd be curious what you're feeling, but like an effervescent, bubbly, tingly kind of movement that's all the way through the body. Can feel it in my hands, my feet. For those of you that experience neuropathy or any sort of numbness in your extremities, then you may not quite feel it there, but notice maybe where you do feel it. Begin to extend your exhales a little bit longer. And as you extend your exhales, what are you noticing about your heart rate? Is it starting to relax and come down? So that's a very energizing practice in the moment. But post, it's really soothing when we're in that fight or flight mode. And so being able to have some of these strategies enables you, a different path to go on. So right here in Tadasana, finding the front of your mat, your feet are just slightly apart. We're going to take that wide arm all the way up and stretch the arms wherever they go. Doesn't matter if they don't go all the way up, if they go forward. On your next breath, we're going to lean to the side. So we could, have less of a lever if our shoulders are in any sort of pain. We want to not push into pain to get out of it. But if it's comfortable to stretch your arms up, go for it. Start to press into the opposite leg. So now when I push down with that leg, I'm starting to extend into that side bend, that lateral stretch a little bit more. Take another full breath there. You're framing the face. Push through the opposite leg to come back up and circle the arms all the way down. Slide the hands along the back of the legs to come into a forward fold. Uttanasana or forward bend. Bring the chin down in toward the chest, and you can circle the head or nod the head up and down, whatever feels good for you. Take an extra sip of breath there in that forward fold. And then you're going to bend your knees to rise. If you're not sure what I mean, I'm in that forward bend. I'm going to bend my knees, my pelvis tips back, and then I rise up. So it's just another strategy for coming up. Inhale, let the arms come up. And then lean to the opposite side. As you lean to the opposite side, same side leg pushes down to get me taller, as if I could reach up and hold something. Try to breathe in through those side ribs and expand through the armpit. The hand is, again, like as if you're throwing something over your shoulder so that it turns the armpit, the head of the arm bone, toward the face. One more breath there. Good, really framing the face, and then push through the other foot to stand. So I'm going to press, and that's going to bring me back to the center. Bend your elbows, fold all the way forward. Uttanasana, forward bend again. Take a full exhale here, lifting the tailbone a little higher and tipping some weight to the balls of the feet. One more breath. Bend both knees, the hands come down to the earth and come into all fours. So as you're in all fours, begin to swivel the pelvis right and left. Good. Just a nice, gentle right and left. Push down through the hands and the feet, round the back like a cat, and then press all the way back to child's pose with a rounded back. Look forward. Use your hands to pull the chest forward, and you're in just a gentle arch. Once you get forward, then round the back again. And with the rounded spine, come all the way back into cat. Push with your feet, pull the arms forward. to bring the chest forward and have that slight back bend. One more time, press it round the back like a cat. Look between the legs as you sit back to child's pose, and then pull the heart and the chest forward. We'll take that right leg and extend the right leg out to the side. Now you can do right or left. And I know your foot's going off your mat, and that's okay. You'll walk your hands up so that you're kneeling. You could also have an extra blanket underneath that. I'm going to tip my body until my fingers can touch the floor. And then I'll inhale and reach that arm all the way up and over again. Remember that you can make accommodations for range of motion. Push through the outer edge of this extended leg and press down with the top of the foot and the shin of the bent knee. That's going to enable you to have more distributed weight. So the weight's not on the knee. One more breath here. And then on your exhale, you're going to round and circle and come bringing the leg in, sit back into child's pose. From here in child's pose, I'm going to bend my elbows as if I were going to hold my ears. And walk your elbows a little bit further forward. The hands can come up here, or the fingers can go behind you. But ideally, you're walking those elbows forward, getting that stretch all the way through the shoulder to the elbow. Let your breath be really steady. So fingers could be up, fingers could be back onto your shoulders, and the head is bowed forward toward the ground. Take a couple of breaths there. Again, there's that feeling of the elbows kind of pulling back, and rather than collapsing down, but there's an action of the elbows moving down and back into the body. One more breath. And then on your next inhale, you'll come back up to kneeling. We'll do the other side, but we're going to take just a little bit of a sun salutation here. So shift the weight forward through the pelvis, finding a modified plank, then lowering all the way down to the floor. Tops of the feet press, the shoulder blades roll together, and the elbows as if they were moving back into your back pockets. Press down with your pelvis to lift up through the chest, and then let go of the floor. Relax through the back of the neck. Take an extra sip of air here and lift the chest just a little more. And one more breath, lift just a little bit more. Lower the hands down, lower the nose down. Lift the pelvis as you begin to push. And we'll take that gate pose on the other side. So I'll stretch the opposite leg out to the side. Walk my hands toward my knees and lift up. I'm going to start to lean until I reach the floor, either finger pads or the hand. Inhale, the palm of the hand goes up and over, or you modify in any way that you need to. Ideally, you're finding a connection between the hand, the elbow, my armpit, my hip, and my foot. So I really want to feel each segmented connection. Take an extra sip of breath here. I'm pushing into this foot, and the shin is pressing down. So there's a little bit of pubic bone forward to activate the glute. Take another full breath there. And then you're going to round into this. So I'm going to curl, the leg comes in, and I'm flying child's pose once again. Here, we'll shift the weight forward to that modified plank and then lower all the way to the earth. Tops of the feet press, pubic bone presses, roll the shoulder blades back, lift up through the heart, and maybe let go of the floor. Keep moving the elbows back and keep lifting the center chest. Take 2 more breaths and see if you can get a little bit of movement with every breath. So there's movement with the breath. The other thing that is so useful for anger is to push into the floor. So as we come back, imagine pressing that sensation, emotion, frustration, whatever it is, into the earth. So as I push down to lift my body, then move my hips back, it's as if I pressed it away and reach back through the pelvis. On your next breath, we're going to glide the hands toward the knees. You'll step one leg forward. Again, see if you can come up without the hands. The back foot curls under, tilt the upper torso forward, and lift up through the pelvis. All right. So from here, we're going to come into a wide stance. So it doesn't matter what direction, or if you're on your mat or off your mat, you can change it as much as you want. I'm going to open the legs wide and my toes slightly out. Slide the hands down just toward the knees and relax the shoulders. So here, see if you can find that connection from the crown of the head to the tailbone, and then really anchor through the feet. So press the heels down and then out. So my toes are still connected, but I want to imagine that my heels are pushing a tack or something through the floor. And then they're also pushing away, so as if I'm trying to move the mat apart from the center. On my next breath, I'm going to sit just a little lower. Now, know that you can be higher and this would be easier, or you can be lower and that's going to be a little more challenging for the quads. On your next breath, I'm going to slide this hand and again, either reach the arm out or reach the arm up and over. The hand goes to the inside of the knee to push against and lift the chest open toward the center. Again, I could also hold my head or have my modification here. As I press and rotate, there's that extension. Good. And then come back through the center, go to the opposite side as the hand comes up and over. I'm staying in that deep horse squat and reaching out. Can you feel the heel of the opposite from the opposite hand? So I want to really push that heel down and connect it. Then inhale, come all the way up. This time this leg straightens and it pivots. So rather than thinking my heel needs to really jut out, it could just be wherever it feels comfortable for the pelvis. So you can play around with that. My toe is pointed toward the wall in front of me, and I'm just going to start leaning over, placing the forearm down. One hand on the hip here, and then glide that hand across to the ribs. So remember that little hug we gave ourselves earlier. So you're going to really draw the body in, the elbow into the body. Then on your breath, sweep the hand across the ribs to rotate the chest open. I could either keep the hand here, or I could move the arm out, or I could move the arm up and over. Give about 20% more energy through the supporting heel. That's your strength here. The more I push through the heel, the more I could let go of this bottom arm. Take another full breath. Keep connecting those spaces. Good. And we're going to come back through horse stance. So both toes slightly turn out to the side and sit a little bit deeper. We'll do the other side, but we're going to take a little bit of movement here. And this is called a Kriya. A Kriya is a moving meditation. You could be higher, you could be lower. I'm going to keep my elbows moving toward my side, and I'm going to rotate toward the side. So that twist we did earlier of the ribs moving around, and then I'll go to the other side. So right, left, left, right, whatever direction you're going first. And choose your breath pattern. So I'm going to in and out. So I'm breathing in. I'm making my breath a little more audible, so you could do that as well. It's in and out, in and out. I could go much slower, or I could keep this quicker pace. If at any reason or any time you start to feel dizzy, lightheaded, slow the breath down, make it a little less concentrated. But you're just moving right through the waist. You could be higher, you could be lower, you could be seated and doing this. So whatever side you're inhaling on, go ahead and switch sides. So allowing it to be the opposite. I know, it's a little bit of brain work there. Last 4, last 3, 2, and 1. We'll stand tall just for a moment. Let the effect of that kind of fizzle in. You could move the legs closer if you need a rest. Let the shoulders drop. Just notice how that feels. Another way to move anger through the body, right, is a pranayama or breathing practice, but also making it audible. So you're using your voice, right, to dampen down typically when we want to, right, say something, but instead you're using your auditory system and your vocal cords in order to diffuse it. So come down back to that horse stance. You're going to pivot the back foot or whichever side you just didn't do, and then turn the toe out to the side. Anchor the back heel and the front foot heel as I glide over into side angle, Parsvakonasana. My forearm comes down. I'm going to take my hand at my hip, then glide it across my belly. And then I'm going to think about my hand sweeping my ribs toward my armpit. So I'm going to use my breath and imagine my ribs coming into the body. I could keep my hand here. I could stretch it out, or I could go all the way up and over. As I push out through my heel and extend through the arm, I continue to bend this front knee any amount. So a little deeper is going to be more challenging. Less steep will be a little less. But pushing through that front heel is going to give you the emphasis to press that back foot as if you were anchoring the two spots. Take one more breath here. Perfect. And then you'll take that and rainbow it up and over. Ooh, you're going to walk the feet in. Let that go a little bit. Just notice what you notice. Notice how the body's response is to that and how you're feeling. Your feet will be just slightly apart, which means that your squat here will be tracks. So you're thinking about your sits bones and aligning with your heels. As my arms go forward, I'm pressing both the ball and the heel of my foot into the ground. So there's that sense of moving down. On your next breath, tip some weight forward toward the balls of your feet. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. I'm going to tip my weight forward. My buttocks is still going back. And play with the idea of lifting the heels. Good. Play with the idea of lifting heels. Another way to disrupt right reaction is when the body needs to focus enough to balance. So whether I am on my toes, whether I try to stand on one foot, but some kind of activity that is movement that requires some balance takes all of that attention away from the ruminating thought or the reaction back into the body. So I'm tipping that weight, my heels are off. Take another full breath here, and then we'll exhale and fold over the tops of the legs. Shake the head or nod the head or circle the head. Tip the tailbone up just a little bit and some weight toward the balls of the feet. Bend the knees enough to place the hands down onto the earth. And come into kneeling once again. On your next breath, exhale back into child's pose. Elbows come down, take that elbow stretch. So we're reaching the elbows forward. The fingers could come back or the fingers could stay up. If my weight is more forward, I'm getting less stretch. The hips further back, more stretch. We're going to glide straight into gate pose. So I'm going to slide, doesn't matter which side you take, I'm going to slide one leg, one arm, and just take that gate pose. This time I could lift that leg, or I could keep the foot on the ground. If I choose to lift the leg, you're thinking about lifting with your outer glute. So that's the part that's lifting you, like you have a lasso around the inner thigh upward. And then we'll circle back in and you're going to do the other side. So you're just going to transition straight into it, either the foot on the floor or the foot lifted, reaching that leg out. The pelvis is slightly forward here. One more breath. And then gliding back in and down. Shift your weight forward into modified plank and lower all the way down. Excuse me. No more sneezes. Okay. On your belly here, you'll actually take that Bhujangasana or cobra pose. So once I'm on my belly, tops of the feet press, pubic bone presses. Inhale to lift the heart, float the hands off the floor. Take 2 full breaths here. I'm really working to move those elbows back and in, and the center of my chest shines forward. So there's that sense of connecting the pelvis all the way up into the back of the neck and through the crown of the head. On your next breath, lower down, shift your weight all the way back to child's pose. Glide the hands toward the knees. Inhale, lift up. Step your left leg forward, curl the back foot under, lift from the pelvis. Pivot the back leg down, take side angle pose. One last time. Good. Reach that arm up and over. Full breath here. You're going to turn and pivot, step the back foot in and come into that Utkatasana or squat. You have the option to lift the heels or keep the heels down. Really stretching and reaching. Sit just a little bit lower if that makes sense for you. And then you'll step the opposite leg back. So the other leg goes back, pivot, move into side angle. Okay. So in Sanskrit, the opposite of anger is santosha, which is peace, ease. And then turning the body, step forward, Utkatasana one more time. Maybe lift the heels, maybe not. Quick close your eyes and check how your balance is. Your heels will save you. They'll come back down, I promise. Take one more full breath there. And last forward fold here. Nod the head up and down. Maybe move or wiggle the torso. So you're just noticing the arms really hanging loose from the shoulders. Take one more exhale there. The hands come down to the floor. The knees come down. Swivel the legs to the side. We're going to take a variation of Parivrtta Jani Shirshasana, so a wider head to knee pose, but the leg is out to the side. If this is not quite right for your body today, take any side or forward bend that feels good, or you can even be on your back and mimic the same shapes. So my hand will float to the inside of my knee. And already, you know where we're headed, right? We're going to take that side bend here. You get to choose where you have your hand, but start with the hand as if you're making the letter C. And you're going to cup the top rim of between the pelvis and the thigh, right there at the femur bone. And I'm just going to notice I push down a little bit and lift my spine just a little. And then here I'm going to start to slide this bottom hand any amount forward. I don't have to go to the end range. It could just be where it feels right. And then I'm going to start to move my ribs and pivot the ribs around. And as I pivot, I'm giving a little bit of downward pressure into that thigh. It's not about getting the knee down. It's about noticing what the range of motion is in the pelvis. And then here, I could change the trajectory. I could glide the hand up, could glide it to the shoulder, I could glide it over the head. It doesn't matter. Wherever you have your arm is perfect. We'll take a couple of breaths here and consider some movement as you're breathing. So what would that look like? Well, I might sort of wiggle my shoulders, or I might move my ribs forward and back, or push my legs down and see if that makes a difference. I could walk the bottom arm further or not. But rather than stillness here, see if you can get a little bit of movement. What is it like to be in movement in the side bend? And then on your next breath, you'll push down with the extended leg to rise all the way up. We'll take the other side. So open one leg and bend the other leg. I try not to use my hands to place my legs because I really want to be curious about what my natural range of motion is, or am I pushing and forcing myself into a shape? We'll take the inside hand to the inside. I know, so technical. And then you're going to take the other hand and make that C with your fingers and let it cup right around the rim of the pelvis there between the hip joint and the leg. And then a little pressure down moves the ribs over. Maybe I go a little lower, maybe I don't. You just notice if you want to stay here or if you'd like to explore any trajectory. Ooh, this actually feels really good for me right now. Now, if this isn't quite feeling right or you're feeling compression in the sacrum, the action of the bent leg is out. It's as if I'm just sliding it, trying to drag it away. That's going to broaden the sits bones. It also might lift the knee a little bit, which is perfectly fine. Take 1 or 2 more breaths in the side body position. To rise, you'll push down with the extended leg. So that's what rises you up. And yeah, you can unlace all of that. We're going to come down onto our back. So if you need a head support or you want a little blanket for Shavasana in a minute, or relaxation, you'll want to get that. But I'm just going to slide all the way down to the ground, bring the knees into the chest, and take just a little bit of a rock side to side or forward and back. Gently massaging the lumbar spine. And if it doesn't feel like a massage, do a movement that does feel interesting or good for you. 1 or 2 more breaths there. Let's mimic that same shape that we just did. So one leg goes out to the side, the other knee bends and moves out. So it looks like one knee bent, one leg extended. And you're just getting some symmetry that way. I'm gently holding the inside of the thigh and I'm holding the outer side of the leg here, keeping both of my sits bones down, but the action is out with the one leg. Even if the leg doesn't fully straighten, the energy is out. With the other leg, the energy is with the heel. So I'm pulling the heel into the buttock, turning that glute med on. 1 more breath. And you're going to switch sides. So bend one leg and extend the other. And as you do that, so again, the action is bent leg heel is pulling in. That's hamstring, eccentric contraction. And then I'm getting that outer glute, turning it on, pushing out with the energy of the other leg. So I could be holding and supporting, or I could do Lakmano hands. So take another full breath there. And then hug the knees into the chest. We'll take a bridge pose just for symmetry here. So the feet are not too close and not too far away. In other words, you should imprint the whole foot. My arms flutter slightly to the side as I push down through my feet and to lift my pelvis. As my pelvis lifts up, I'm not thinking big back bend here. I'm thinking top of my pelvis shoots toward my knees. I want to have this sensation of the opening up through the front of the pelvis. The glutes come together in the back and the shoulders, they're taking the load here. So the shoulders rest down into the floor. Take just 1 more breath here. And then when you're ready, float the pelvis all the way back down. You have the option to do that again. Push down with both feet, take that bridge pose. Or if there's another shape that you'd like to take, feel free to take that. So what shape would that be for you? Would it be a twist? Would it be legs in the air? Would it be sort of a happy baby where you're holding the feet? Doesn't need to be a yoga pose. It can be any shape that feels good, that just feels like, oh, I needed that. Yeah. If you're needing more strength in this moment, you can take that bridge pose and add a little arms to it. The arms could go over the head, or you could take one leg in the air and then the foot down and the other leg in the air, just noticing what it's like to balance. and the body is already breathing. That is the beautiful thing about our nervous system. It is constantly working to regulate you, to remind you you don't need the extra layers of protection if you are truly safe in this moment. And the body can begin to rest into the back body. Begin to find your shape for Shavasana, which is just lying down. You could put legs over a couch. You could put legs over a chair if you want. You can just lie flat. You can put a little support underneath the head or put a blanket over the body. Whatever you feel would be edifying and supportive for you. But here's the beauty of this, right? As we give to others, this is a gentle reminder that we need to build stores of rest in order to have the capacity to give. So even as you're setting yourself up for relaxing, how can you be even more comfortable? What would feel like, I could rest here? We're going to be here just a couple of minutes. So if you know you want to be here longer, I have a few thoughts on that. You could set an alarm. That sounds like a terrible name, but you can set a timer. How's that? A timer for some extra time, and then you don't have to worry about minding the time. That's one way to do it. Another is just to simply close your computer and say goodbye now so that you can rest a little bit longer. But we'll find a couple of minutes just of quiet and ease here. And as you feel your body settling, go back to that effervescent feeling we had at the beginning of class of that bouncing, right? There was an aliveness, there was a tingle, there was the body waking up from the inside out. And as you're settling here, it's like that effervescence just settles down into the earth. There's nowhere you need to go, nowhere you need to be just in this moment. The body is breathing. And gently starting to bring your attention back. Mm. You can move any way that feels good for you. Maybe expanding the body into the space or contracting it. You can stay lying down or you can begin to rise. I'm just leaving you with this metta meditation. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be safe and protected. And may I live with ease and well-being. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be safe and protected. And may you live with ease and well-being. Thanks, y'all.